All right, folks, we are back for more Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising action for you here, and let's get the big boy, the man of the hour, the man of honor, the Steam Train man, up here, because what we're doing today is we're making a Vaseraga matchup chart, if you couldn't tell by the tier list in front of you here. Again, we got Vas to master, and I think it'll be fun to just go through and do like a bunch of like retrospective videos on the character, essentially, kind of going over what I've learned and all that, you know, my opinions of him. And I feel like a matchup chart is a pretty cool way to do that, partially. Anyway, I should really make one of these for Ladiva someday, but you know, we'll do that certainly. A lot of these videos I've done for Vas, I should do for Ladiva too at some point. But yeah, so the general idea, you know, obviously, advantage, slight advantage, even, slight disadvantage, disadvantage. I don't really like putting numbers to them, like, you know, 6.5, 3.5, or 6.4. It's a little arbitrary in my opinion. It's kind of like, you know, advantage is a matchup where I think Vaseraga is going to like, basically the whole point is if two players of even skill, or like roughly even skill played, how much does the other one have to gap to win, right? Even is like pure skill matchup, advantage is like, you know, Vas can play a little badly and still win. He has to get outplayed, and disadvantage is the other way around, right? Vas has to outplay and like get lucky on RPS and stuff, essentially, right? And, you know, obviously, like, for advantage and disadvantage, it's pretty severely so, right? You'll be like, Vas has to, like, really, you know, try hard here, or really, like, just guess right a bunch, or just really be better than the other guy, versus, you know, advantage, which is the other way around, essentially, where Vas is the privileged one. Okay, so, real quick, before we get started, as always, is this with Soulforge, without, or a combination? It is the character, as he stands. So, you know, how easy it is to get Soulforge is a part of this. We'll talk about it in a second, real quick. Before we get going, as always, VOD watchers, hi. If you like the video, any kind of likes, subscribes, bell, comments, all that good stuff, they help out a whole lot. I also, if you don't want to watch this, we're recording this on the 15th. You're probably watching it on like the 30th or something, the 31st, maybe like November 1st or something. So if you want to be so behind, come by to the stream and you can watch things live. I'd love to have you here. I stream on both Twitch and YouTube. So you get every day, 5 to 9 p.m. EST, except Fridays. Now, with that in mind, link to the Twitch in the description, by the way, and the YouTube link. It'll change every time. I'll usually link it every time I go live. But yeah, with that in mind, Vaseraga. So, my general mindset, because Dusk is here, obviously, in the chat as well, Master Vaseraga. So, my general mindset is one of the big things, Vaseraga is a very jagged character, right? He is not a balanced character. Vaseraga has basically one incredibly strong win condition, and it is Soulforge RPS. So there's a couple of different things that are going to, like, big picture impact how good a matchup is or isn't for Vaseraga baseline, in my opinion. And it is two things. One, how well can the character deal with Soulforge? If Vaseraga has armor and he's coming at you, how well can you deal with that? Do you have a lot of, like, long-range, triple-hitting moves that can break armor? Do you have, like, some other way? Like, you know, can you command grab him out of Soulforge, like Ladiva can? Things like this, right? Do you have any good ways to deal with Vas once he has armor? And then the other thing is, how well can you stop Vaseraga from getting armor? Because they're kind of two, that's kind of like the general big picture. It's kind of the two ways you can beat Vas. Is without Soulforge, he's kind of like Coughing Baby, right? He's not that good. But he gets it very easily off any knockdown, or sometimes if you block something, you can get Soulforge, like you Fireball, or even like a Far H if he wants to call you out, right? So it's hard to stop him from doing that, but some characters are much better at it than others. Those guys will do better against Vas. And if you can't stop him, how well can you deal with him once you actually have Soulforge? If you're a character who can't stop Vas from armoring, and you can't deal with him once he's armored, guess what? You're not going to be very advantaged in this list, right? And if you can stop him from armoring, and you can deal with it well, baseline, again, you're probably going to be a pretty hard matchup for Vaseraga, right? It is the general idea there. Of course, there could be like some specific stuff with like specific matchups, but, you know, that's my thought process going into this, right? Now, I have not fought all of these characters a ton on Vas, so like it's not, I could make one for Ladiva with much more conviction. Some of this is going to be going off vibes and just like theoretical knowledge, less so than like really experiencing the matchup 100 times and going with that. And honestly, like one of those immediately is kind of like Gran, right? So I haven't thought about this in advance, so I'm going to have to like talk myself through some things here, right? So Gran has an EX Fireball. That's like that's kind of a common thing that's gonna happen with a lot of people, where Gran can just like Vas can't just like mindlessly, you know, get Soulforge up and start walking at Gran from full screen with a stance, because EX Fireball will just knock you out of it, right? You can follow up it, sure, but then at that point you're like -40 in the mid screen and Gran can kill you for it, right? So he has a decent way to deal with armor. I don't think he has like a really good way, honestly, to like, stop Vaseraga from just mashing 5U at some distance. Now, like, you could, you know, he doesn't have like really, like he has a Fireball, sure, but again, it's not that, Vas is one of those two. It's slower, sure, but Gran is not the kind of character who's going to like smother Vaseraga in the mid-range or something like that. The way Gran is going to do that probably is like round start, you know, backdash boot into pressure or something. Gran can be a very offensively potent character, right? At which point, Vasaraga's defense is not exactly sterling, right? Especially without Soulforge, he loses access to all his best defensive options, basically, and without meter, he's even worse. Those his meter reversals are not very good. So again, another way, I guess, is if you can just, like, get on top of Voss easily and just beat the hell out of him, light him to death, just pressure him to death, and he never gets a chance to even, like, get a moment to breathe to Soulforge on you, then you're probably going to be doing a little bit okay, right? And Gran can certainly do that. He's got some pretty nice, he's got a lot of plus frames, a lot of good offense, right? He plays the fundamental sort of Granblue game quite well when he gets, like, to the corner. He can kind of, like, you know, the basic offensive structure of, like, close L, close H, close L throw, close L shimmy. Gran has good buttons to kind of, like, Voss does not have very good big buttons to protect himself with in the corner, right? He's got really big buttons, but they're, like, you know, 16 and 15 frame startup. So Gran, you know, when he's competing with 2L, Voss's best, you know, defensive option, at far L, I guess, Gran can kind of, like, stand at a range, just kind of poke at Voss with, like, plus on block, 2M and stuff. So I think, at the same time, though, right, I don't think Gran's options to deal with Soulforge are exactly sterling, right? I don't think he has a super easy time. This doesn't stick out to me as, like, that bad or that good. I'm gonna put this in even. As I get more context, we'll see, right? But, like, Gran does not stand out to me as, like, horrendous. He definitely can pressure Vaseraga a lot. He definitely can suffocate him. But also, you know, he's not super good at dealing with Voss in his face with Soulforge. And overall, yeah, it seems like, you know, there's not, like, oh my god, he hard counters what Voss is doing or anything. I think it's fine. I think it's probably close to even. Like, maybe, like, slight disadvantage, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Voss is, again, if you can't stop that very, very strong, jagged strength Voss has, it's going to be a bit of a problem for you, right? Jita is pretty similar. Jita basically just has, like, better buttons than Gran. Better buttons and, like, worse offense, right? She does the same thing that Gran would do in the sense that, like, she's trying to stop Voss before he gets Soulforge, right? But where Gran is going to basically just, like, he's going to try and rush Voss down and stay on top of him, Jita's going to do it better in that mid-range. Jita can contest him and, like, actually just stop him from doing it in that mid-range. But even still, right, once she gets him to the corner, she has less easy access to plus frames. Gran does a plus on block 2M. Like, if this was ordered, I feel like this probably still would be a little bit worse, probably, right? But I don't think it's that bad, right? At the end of the day, again, I think these characters have to, like, they have to play the video game with Voss. There is no, like, you know, lightning in a bottle answer for Soulforge, but they also, you know, they don't just die to it by default either. Having an EX Fireball, honestly, is a really big deal. That kind of keeps you from being, like, completely run over by Vaseraga, essentially, right? Okay, so, now we get to Catalina. Again, a lot of these three guys are gonna do a lot of the same thing, right? But here's the thing, right? So Catalina, the thing is gonna separate her, I think, in my mind, as I'm thinking through it right now, from Gran and Jita, is, so she's got the EX Fireball, right? So she also has her M Fireball, which is a fucking gun now, right? Just, like, immediate full screen Fireball. So that's going to make it, even from full screen, it's going to be very hard for Voss to get Soulforge up. If you don't know, Soulforge is a 40 frame animation, start to finish. Cat's M Fireball travels the entire screen in less than 40 frames, I'm pretty sure. That thing is a fucking laser, right? So genuinely, it's going to be very hard for Voss to get Soulforge from any distance on the screen, right? And then, she actually does have some pretty scary, what I talked about with Gran, where I said Gran can sort of he can like, pressure Voss in the corner with like, kind of like spacing out his buttons and stuff. Cat does that better than Gran, right? And she's got good mid-range, just like Jita. And her reward on hits is also a lot higher than Jita. Cat in this patch is basically a better version of both of these characters, right? But I think just her offense is not going to be as good as Gran's. She doesn't have as easy access to plus frames and stuff, right? But again, I mean, Light Wall is going to be pretty risky to deal with in general too, right? This is also a good answer to stance, right? I'm pretty sure, actually, is it? I guess it depends. If you Light Wall, like, the stance follow-up, then sure. But, like, if the steppers, it's not gonna do too well for you, right? But yeah, so Cat has a lot more, she does everything that Gran and Jita can do, and then she has a lot more, like, unique options that make it even harder for Voss to either get his Soulforge off or run his RPS once he has Soulforge up, right? Has U Fireball and Lariats to call it Soulforge in neutral? True, yeah. I mean, again, even M Fireball does that, I'm pretty sure. Again, it travels the entire screen in less than 40 frames, and it's a meterless option, right? Just keep spamming that shit over and over, basically. So, I'm gonna say that Cat doesn't strike me as, like, a nightmare, but it's definitely not good for Voss. I only have two, we're gonna save disadvantage for, like, really, really bad matchups. This maybe should go here. I haven't fought that much Cat, but that, like, basically, like, all the reasons I mentioned that Gran and Jita could fight Voss well, Cat does all of them better, right? So I'm just gonna put him here, but there's not, like, any, you know, again, silver bullet, just like Vaseraga can't play the video game. If you've watched, you know, any of the Voss videos, when I say this, you know, I'm referring to somebody in particular. We'll get to them eventually, right? Okay, Charlotta is interesting, right? So this character feels to me like, I mean, you sort of Lumiel, sure. This made it, time to spread misinformation, so true. Yo, any Voss input, I'll take, certainly. But yeah, so this character feels weird, right? Any character that wants to, like... She certainly can't just try to rush Voss down, I guess, but it's not like she's honestly, like, that amazing at it. Her big thing, pretty much, is that, you know, when she hits you, you explode. But I feel like... This one is so far the biggest blind spot for me. I haven't fought a lot of Charlotta as Voss, but it always felt, like, pretty fine, I think. She can't really stop. She's very stubby, and, like, her only, I guess like the headbutt, maybe I'm discounting the headbutt. Like he's not gonna like stop you from doing it in the mid range, right? Headbutt, I guess can like, or like her little Honda headbutt, her little Blanca ball, right? Can like bully you a little bit, but she's minus after that a lot of the time, right? Obviously, kind of like Gran, I guess. She's got a lot of plus frames to deal with you in the corner. She can like sort of Lumiel over and over and over, right? So I guess this is one of those things where, oh wait, no. I thought of something just now. You know why it's probably like not a good matchup? Like, so again, she's Gran is kind of my baseline. She can do a lot of the stuff that Gran can do too, where she can bully you in the corner, all of that stuff, right? She can, I guess she has a good answer to stance. Not EX Fireball, but like, you know, use sort of Lumiel probably, right? Someone told me that worked out pretty well a couple of days ago, and it makes sense to me. But the thing that she has, I think, that makes me think this is probably quite difficult for Voss is, one of Vaseraga's big, like, pointed weaknesses is Voss has a bunch of different anti-airs, right? But they're all very situational, and they cover different spots and different heights and different sizes. And if this potato is just jumping all around the screen with her crazy ass, quick ass jump arc and like mixing that up well between this and like Demon Flip and all that, right? I would imagine this actually, she could like kind of get away with a lot of dumb shit on Vaseraga, is my guess. So she's again the same reason I'm gonna put Cat down here, where like Cat does everything that Gran does, but she has like a little bit of an extra bit of sauce that makes it a little bit harder, right? I would think the same reason for Charlotta that I want to put her here. It's her parry? Oh, I didn't think about that either, yeah. Her parry, I guess, would... If she parries like a Soul Forge follow-up, do you lose? Kind of like Cats, right? Same thing with Light Wall. She's got that too. I forgot she's got one of those. They buffed that too. You can't stance her? Yeah, fair enough. Okay. I think that's... I'll sum up this with Light Wall as well, but yeah, I guess you got that too. So yeah, again, for the same reasons, the Cat is like a step down here, where like she can do a lot of the stuff that Gran and Jita can do, but her DP and parry make stance unusable if they know. Okay, yeah. So she's got a lot of the same stuff these guys can do, but she's got like some extra secret Charlotta sauce that makes it even harder for Voss to run his game plan. We'll put her down here. I didn't think about the parry, but yeah. Okay. Lancelot. Interesting. This guy like doesn't exist, huh? How many Lances did I fight as Voss? I get the strange feeling her jumping is how she loses, actually. Maybe I'm bad at Voss, but again, I can just imagine very easily like a Charlotta like jumping at me point blank or something and like getting murdered, and me getting murdered for it. But of course, if you're like really on point with the anti-air, sure, but that requires some amount of skill expression from you, right? So I wouldn't say like, you know, being able to like she's difficult to anti-air, and Voss is not good at anti-airing in my opinion. M-grab is pretty free, I suppose, but again, that doesn't cover, you know, if she cross-up jumps you, you die, or if, you know, if you M-grab, like M-grab hits behind you, but doesn't hit very high up in the air on like a 2H or something, right? But anyways, Lancelot is weird. I get that, like, my initial vibe, like, again, I haven't fought that many Lances, but it's like, the Lances that I did fight, and looking at him, I kind of feel like he just kind of, like, he just kind of dies, right? I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure. I mean, he has an EX Fireball, but it's not a good one to deal with Soul Forge, really. It's very slow. You can get, like, just your toes taken on reaction to placing it, essentially, right? I feel like he staggers a lot of his pressure, which is pretty scary to do against Voss. Like, if you rely a lot on, like, stagger pressure, I feel like you're going to, and, like, you know, things that will, like, call out fuzzy mash, like, things that can be fuzzy mash, essentially. I think you're risking a lot against, like, you know, 5U and U tackle and shit, right? Defensively, he doesn't have very good defense. Because, you know, not having a meterless DP is a big deal against Voss, because, like, he's just so scary in the corner. I want to put this, you guys are saying even? You're both trying to do the same thing to each other in this matchup? Yeah, but I feel like Voss may be a little bit better at doing this. Voss hits harder than Lance on average too. He's got more health to play with. I feel like they're not like Lance is not just like running circles around him. He's not going to out neutral him, right? His fireball is not going to control the neutral as much as it could against other characters. You know, putting down fireball, you know, Voss can just like basically like take your toes out from under you with the M stance follow up or something, right? So I feel like I want to put this slight advantage. I could be tripping. If you ever get hit once, you're fighting Lance. I want to put this slight advantage. I could be tripping. I'm not going to lie to you. But, like, just thinking about it, again, think about what little Lance I did fight. It doesn't feel like Lance is going to have a good time here. I could see it being even, but I feel like he can't... He doesn't have the same kind of tools to deal with armor or to bully Voss that like Gran and Jita have, I think. He can't mid-range like Jita, he can't corner pressure like Gran, right? Like, he just does like EX Fireball, wins neutral, but it's so slow that Voss can actually just like hit you from full screen, I feel like. Lance on Voss's nuts seems annoying. That's a fair point. Again, like I can see like every character on Voss's nuts is annoying, right? Voss has the second worst defense in the entire game, right? So there's no character that's going to like be in his face and not give him so much trouble. But I think though, again, Lance does a lot of like staggered pressure. So I feel like that is a very risky thing to do against Vaseraga when he's got Soulforge up at least, when he has meter at least, right? Percival. Another character that does not exist at all, basically. But, you know, EX Fireball, good mid-range, better mid-range than Voss, probably, right? Very good corner pressure with, like, Fireball and stuff. Just, like, bully Voss to hell him back. Mutilus DP, good defense. I feel like Percival might... Like, he can burst in as well, right? When he wants to with the Rekka on Voss. Good damage as well, especially post-patch, right? Good conversions mid-screen, especially post-patch. Obviously, we're all talking about post versus patch here for everybody, right? So I feel like, for me, it's a disadvantage. Yeah, I was definitely leaning that way too, right? Just in the sense of, like, it feels like Percival has an answer for Voss at all stages of the game, right? Again, he can stop Voss from armoring up quite well, in the sense that he's got good mid-range, he's got a good fireball, things like this. He can also deal with the armor pretty well, right? With his DP, with fireball again, right? With just, like, he can just hit DP or something, right? Like Pharrell DP on stance or something. He's got a command grab, so his like, Percival's offense is actually quite scary. He gets pretty big damage off everything in the corner now, too. He got buffed a lot, right? This feels like, I was talking earlier about, like, if you can both stop Voss from getting armor and deal with armored Voss, it's gonna be pretty bad. And then on top of that, Percival has some very scary corner pressure, right? Which is, again, Voss, his other big weakness is defense. And he can space out his buttons even better than Gran can. He's got better buttons than Gran, right? So I'm talking about Gran, he can do that even better, right? And he hits really hard. So, like, Voss having that 18,000 health, it's not gonna save you too much from Percy, especially if he gets a chance to stock up on you a little bit, or if you're in the corner, right? So, I haven't fought a ton of Percival, I'm not gonna lie to you, but, like, on a theoretical level, right? This feels like it should be very bad for Vaseraga. Like, even, like, not even this. Like, it feels like this, right? It feels like at every step of the way along the game, he has a good answer to what you want to do. And you, Flame Carpet, yeah, it seems like this seems like a nightmare for Vaseraga, I think, actually, right? This seems like so far, out of everyone, it feels like he can, like, stuff Vaseraga, like, the main thing Vaseraga wants to do the easiest, right? Alright, Ladiva, I can talk about this one with a lot of experience, not from the Voss side, mostly more from the Ladiva side. This matchup used to be, I think, like this. I personally, I think this matchup used to be like here or like here, like at the very least here, right? But I think this used to be a very, very good matchup for Ladiva. However, Voss got a lot of buffs in the patch, and Ladiva got a couple of key nerfs in the patch that make this matchup a lot better for Voss, I think. Namely, the way Ladiva deals with Soulforge is SPDing Voss out of Soulforge. If Voss is walking at you, light SPD is such a big range that it basically really forces Voss to pick an option in Soulforge much earlier, right? And again, pre-patch, his light command grab was not that big. She could grab you from way further away, you can grab her, right? So she deals with stance Vaseraga quite well. She can't stop him from armoring too well, though Lariats can certainly call you out on that. You Lariats can kill you for just like Soulforging and neutral. But she deals with armored Voss quite well. And her pressure used to be some of the worst in the game. Like, Voss was like one of the worst characters in the whole game at dealing with her pressure. However, headbutts got nerfed, right? To be like, it's not, it being even on block, Vaseraga being even is a nightmare for him. He can't mash at all. Voss loses even on block situations, right? He's not even, he's like basically minus, because his 2L doesn't do anything. So, long story short, not talking about pre-patch too much. Post-patch, this feels much, much more, I personally think it's still slight advantage to Ladiva. I'm gonna think about this for a second. Like, this is, I think, still... I do still want to say it's a slight advantage to Ladiva, but there's, like, this, I think, got a lot... Like, if you want to put this in even, I'm not gonna yell at you too much. I can see this being even. It's like this is slight advantage. This is much more slight than Catalina and Charlotta, right? Would you like my opinion? Yeah, sure. Because, again, like, he deals with, like, her pressure got worse. Her command got a little bit smaller. He's got a lot bigger, right? She deals with Soulforge worse than she used to, right? She still hits really hard, right? Her command grab's even harder hitting now, too, as well, right? So, like, it's give and take, but it got better overall. I think it used to be here. I would probably put it around here now, personally, right? I think the Ladiva still gets away with a lot on Voss, in my opinion. But this, again, this is the least slight disadvantage, the most slight of all of these disadvantages, I suppose. While Dusk writes his opinion up right here, we can talk about Metera. So, okay, there's gonna be a couple of characters like this, right? Where Metera, you're gonna order the rose at the end. I'm kind of doing it already, right? I guess like Jita is probably a little bit worse than Gran. I'm kind of doing it already. Like I think Ladiva is the easiest of the slight disadvantage matchups, and maybe Catalina is a little bit worse than Charlotta. Now I think about it. But yeah, so Metera, right? In theory, right, on paper, Metera has a lot of good ways to deal with Soulforge. She has 2 different EX fireballs, right? She can just kind of zone him out forever and ever and ever. It's very hard for Voss to approach on this one. It's your typical whoever is winning matchup, but for me, Voss has a lot easier time zoning Leva out now, but once Leva gets a hit, turns the pressure, loop of tick throws and grabs, just beat Voss's reversals. Yeah. We still Granbluing after this? Probably gonna go play some Street Fighter, I think, but yeah. So, again, this feels like, on paper, Metera should have a pretty big advantage in this matchup, in my opinion, right? In the sense that she has a very good way to stop Voss from ever Soulforging up, and she can deal with Voss in Soulforge quite well, right? The problem is, and also she has quite good, Metera's scary in the corner, man. Like, she has a lot of plus frames. She's like, she can set up like Butterfly, do a lot of damage, things like this, right? So again, I think Metera is actually in quite a strong advantage at most points of the game. However, obviously there is always, with a character like Voss, who does so much damage and gets so much reward in his advantage state, he can really just die. But again, that applies to Percy too, sure, but I would say, in general, this matchup, I'm gonna say this matchup is actually probably quite good for Metera. I don't think, just because of so Percy does like everything that I'll talk about with Metera, where like, he can stop him from getting Soulforged, he can deal with armored Vaseraga, he can bully him in the corner, and he can defend against Voss quite well as well, right? Metera has all of those things, but she can't really defend against Voss very well. So I'm gonna put her as the worst slight disadvantage, just because at the end of the day, a matchup is about how often you're gonna win and how often you're gonna lose, right? And Metera is just going to lose sometimes. He's just gonna fucking die sometimes, right? So I can't quite put her down here, I don't think. But in theory, when that's not happening, it is down here. But sometimes she's just gonna fucking die. 15,000 health as well, right? It's a tough one. Okay. Okay, Lorraine is bad. Lorraine is really, really bad for a couple of different reasons, okay? So, I mean, in my experience, Lorraine feels like, so far, it's the worst one we've seen, I think, right? And there's pretty much, one, really big reason for this, and it's Catabot, right? It's Catabot, and it's the boys, I guess. But, Catabot is just essentially, free win button, and he's, so Voss wants to play, not the healing, so I gotta get to that too, right? Voss wants to play a very defensive game plan before he gets Soulforged. The thing is, though, Lorraine is kind of he has it's weird to compare him to, but he's got kind of, hear me out for a second before you crucify me. He's got kind of a Lucilius effect a little bit, where you kind of have to approach Lorraine, because nobody can defend against Lorraine, right? He just gets infinite meter and infinite health. You have to come at Lorraine, right? So it's hard for Voss to find the moment to because Voss generally is the defender in almost every single matchup until he gets Soulforged and he goes in to kill you, right? But you can't find that gap to sit there and try to find a poke or something, right? Beat Lorraine trying to get it on you or something like that. You don't find that with Lorraine. He just sits at full screen and eats, right? He wants to play defensive, and he plays it better than Voss. The reward that he gets playing defensive is better than Voss, because Voss gets Soulforged, which Lorraine is quite good at dealing with because of the Junkrat, right? The Junkrat, the H Catabot, things like this, right? So he's quite good at dealing with that. And also, him sitting there on the other side of the screen, healing and getting infinite meter to throw the Junkrat at you to get just all the good use skills on your ass is gonna make that even harder, right? Now, up close, funny enough, Lorraine's parry is not very good. However, it is kind of explicitly designed to beat 6-frame normal characters, but here's the kicker, right? -2, yeah. Okay, so basically the whole idea is Lorraine is -2. If you spot dodge his parry, he's -2, right? Throw is 4 frames. Vasaraga's fastest button is 6 frames. So if Lorraine throws, if Lorraine throws and you mash on his parry, you get no escaped. So even if Voss hits the parry and spot dodges, he has to basically just commit to a throw. He has to tech and go back to neutral. Which again, that middle distance, Lorraine can just keep running away and Catabot and boys and run away from you and heal, and teching that throw is bad for Voss. He wants to be in your face. That sounds horrible, yeah. Yeah, like throw attacking puts Lowain back in his win condition. So when you parry or when you block Lowain's parry, it gets bad for you, right? So on basically every single interaction you can think of, Lowain is gonna kick Voss's ass a little bit, right? I guess as far as, again, if you just go into stance and Lowain has counterbots, he just kills you with it, right? Yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad, right? Like every and then Lowain. I mean, Lowain's offense is not exactly too terrifying, but like he doesn't need to. He doesn't like need to run offense. He just sits on the other side of the screen forever and kills you, basically, right? So this is like this one, Voss. The worst matchups for Voss are the ones basically, yeah, where he just can't really play the video game because his main win condition is flies in the face of the opponents, or I guess feeds into the opponent's win condition, right? And their win condition is better than his. Like, Lowain eating is better than Voss getting Soulforge, especially because Lowain can deal with Soulforge quite well, and Voss can't deal with infinite meter, infinite health Lowain. So that one's pretty bad. All right, Fairy. Okay, so this, I think I've heard some talk, whenever this comes up, that this is supposed to be like, maybe like bad for Voss, but I don't think so. It feels like Fairy can't really deal with, like, the way Fairy wins in this matchup is she is quite good at stopping Voss from getting Soulforge in the first place, right? It's because she obviously has like full screen normals and like Hell Wrath and stuff like that, right? Sure. And then once she gets Voss in the corner, she has like real mix, and it's not a lot of damage, but still, you know, like Voss has really bad defense. Like Fairy can kind of bully him. He got some decent like plus frames with close age and stuff, right? But once Voss has armor, it feels like Fairy's only real option is saving meter for you Hellrats, right? You GG. Because that will track and just kill you wherever you are with armor. It'll stop battalions, it'll stop everything, sure. But like that's, it being so over-centralized like that, I think makes it a little bit too predictable. And you can just jump over to, like JM hits from so far away, like jumping over Hellrats and jamming Fairy, like you can basically kill her for that, if she's close enough to the corner, right? So, it's a weird one, right? It's slight disadvantage, but it's Fairy. This to me, if I'm putting Matera in slight disadvantage, because I'm factoring in like sometimes just fucking die, I feel like, in my experience, this feels even. This feels even. It really does feel like Fairy can do damage. Yeah, like this really does feel like there is a very clear and well-defined and strong win condition for both characters. And in my experience, this is an advantage, LMAO. Yeah. So like, there's a very clear, well-defined, and strong win condition for both characters, and either of them can access it pretty easily. It just depends on basically like one or the other messing up, right? Like, Fairy can just hold Voss in the corner with no Soulforge the whole round, but also it's not that impossible for Voss to get one Soulforge off, and at that point, yeah, exactly, it's risk-reward her to death, right? So, I'm gonna say this is even. I'm gonna say it's even, and move on from there. Zeta. I have not... Have I fought a single Zeta on my Voss? I feel like I have to, right? This interesting. So Zeta's got an EX Fireball. She's got good mid-screen. She's got she also can't punish you tackle. Oh, good point, yeah. So Zeta has the, you know, the baseline EX Fireball. She can deal with Soulforge. She has a lot of damage. She's got good offense. She has a little 50-50, but it's a good one, not a bad one like Fairy, right? Her U skills are quite scary if you're in stance. If you're in stance and Zeta U skills, you just die, right? You just have to U flip or like U follow up basically, because like U Infinite Wonders hits 3 times, doesn't it? It'll break armor. So it feels like Zeta is good at dealing with Soulforge Voss. The one thing though is Zeta can't. So Zeta is going to be in that camp where I think he's quite good at dealing with Voss when he has armor, but I don't think he can stop him from getting armor that well. Parry just beats armored moves. I mean, it kind of depends. Like, because, you know, Parry can, like, get triggered by the stance, and then, you know, if you do your follow-up into Vaseraga, he kills you, right? So, only her U parry? Yeah, like, I think this feels more like Zeta is pretty decent at stopping armored Voss, but not really up close. I feel like she doesn't really deal with the stance RPS that well, in the sense that you have to still play the RPS. And if you play the RPS, that's good for Voss. That, like, right-in-your-face stance RPS is... by definition, incredibly Voss favored. If you have to play that RPS, it's never gonna be too bad for Vaseraga, right? But again, she does like, she has like more, like almost, not more damage, she has like as much damage as him, does better in the mid-screen a lot of the time. She's gonna get good conversions, got good buttons, not as good as his, but she can fight him in the mid-screen, she can bully him in the corner. I wanna say this feels like Zeta is probably just like a little bit like just like a little bit better than Vaseraga is. There's like more well-rounded spots in this matchup. Like more parts of the matchup favor Zeta than do Voss, but none of it feels like horrible, right? So to me, this feels slight disadvantage. I think this is where I'm gonna go with that. Hey, look, it's the first advantage matchup. I think so. Narm feels really easy on Vaseraga. I think Narm feels very, very easy when you're playing Voss. This character can do neither of the. So I talked again. That's why I like the framework, the first principles that we had established at the beginning of the video, right? Narm cannot stop Voss from getting Soulforged very well, and she has like almost no way to deal with armored Voss except DPing him, which is obviously it's got its own risks, right? So she just like can't. Voss has one very big, very jagged, very strong, very broken advantage in his armor, and Narmidas can't deal with it at all, right? So I feel like I don't have to talk about it that much, right? It's like he just dies. It's just when Voss gets Soulforged up, which is very easy for him, Narm can't do anything anymore, right? You can't stop him from getting it, and you can't do anything about him. You can't do anything about it once he has it. I think we just stop there, right? He just dies. Yusetsuna dies to armor. Does it not hit 3 times? Interesting. I don't know why I thought we did well in this matchup. You just like can't deal with, again, like Voss is a very Voss is like JoJo stat hexagon, right? Like if Voss is like JoJo stat hexagon, looks like this, right? It's like he's got like defense up here, right? He's got like damage, right? He's got like nooch. He's got I don't know, man. He's got like 5U, right? He's got like armor. He's got 5U right here. He's got what else? Like I guess like full screen, right? Like the ability to fight from full screen. And he's got like offense, I suppose, like pressure, right? And Voss is like, he's pretty good. Like he's pretty good. He got some decent, like, this is like, out there. He's got good offense. He can fight from full screen, not like really that well, but you don't want to be at full screen because he can 5U you, right? He's got decent neutral, right? No doubt about it, right? Voss is like pretty good neutral. He does very high damage. He's got very strong damage. His defense is really bad. He's got some of the worst defense in the whole game. But again, Voss is just this, right? Like Voss is just 5U, right? Voss is like by far. Voss is a very, very jagged character. His biggest strength, by far, obviously, is armor. So if you can't deal with this, the match is going to be really good. You can't stop him from getting it. You can't do anything about it once he has it. Narm falls in that camp. She just does. All right, Soris. This one is, I thought, was going to be a lot more even until I actually labbed it for a bit and fought a Soris. This matchup is really bad, I think. And it's very, very, very specifically because of the changes made to Soris in the Versucha patch, right? So, here's the thing, right? Soris does not really deal with armored Voss too well. He doesn't have that many, like, very easy multi-hitting moves or something, right? He can't just, like, if Voss has Soulforge, he can kind of just, like, stance up and walk at Soris. The only thing Soris can really do, his DP is 2 hits, even his UDP, right? The only thing Soris can really do is, like, I guess he can, like, Aura or something. That's got its own risks, right? Sure. That's very reactable, especially, like, it's gonna slow down as it's hitting the armor, right? So, he can't really do too much against Vaseraga just, like, getting Soulforged and walking at him. However, Soris, I think, is
very good odds.
One of the, not saying it's good for Voss, but some Narm saying it's, like, unplayable. Okay. Yo, Ophidian, thank you for the 3 months. Thanks for the resub there with the Prime. Thank you. Much appreciated. But yes, so what Soris is very good at doing, though, is he can immediately, like, round start, just, like, smother Voss. And yeah, exactly. Soris has some of the best you are going to block and never, ever, ever, ever stop blocking ever pressure in the whole game, especially with Vaseraga. I almost want to, like, if I had the game booted up, okay? Okay, so here's the thing, right? Soris, by design, Soris's kit is designed in that he has very strong pressure. However, he has a ton of plus frames, which is tough for a guy like Voss. However, all of his plus frames are either reactable or cooldowns, right? That's the whole point, or like close cell, we have to be like right in your face, and there's risk with that, right? Sure. So like all of Soris's plus frames are either reactable, aka like, M dash punch or 2-2M or something like that, or they're cooldowns, like H rock smash, or sorry, not M, yeah, not M dash punch, M rock smash, or like H rock smash, or like H aura, right? Here's the thing. So, a couple different things. I'm gonna also Sakari, thank you for the follow. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Hope you're enjoying the stream on the tier list here. But yeah, so here's the thing, right? Vaseraga has a 6-frame 2L, okay? It's his only 6-frame button. Soris has a -1 on block. He has a -1 on block, 214L, the light aura. You follow me so far? Sora's has a 5-frame DP attack level move that gives him a full combo on counter hit. This is a bit of a problem, because now -1 on a 6-frame character means that Sora's is actually plus. If you hit 2L and he DPs you, you die. And if you block it, it's only like -7, which actually, at certain spacings, Voss like can't punish. It is -7, right? I don't think it's -8. If it's -8, we have a different talk here. But I think it's -7, if I remember. It might be -8. Hold on. Is it -7 or -8? It's -7. Yep. So here's the thing. Vaseraga does not have a 7-frame button. He has a 6-frame button in 2L that goes nowhere, and he has an 8-frame button in 4L. There are spacings where, many spacings, where Sora's DP is not punishable by Voss. He can't do it. He can't punish it. So, again, suddenly, Sora's entire design of his character, which is reliant on his plus frames are either reactable or cooldowns, doesn't matter anymore because 214L is effectively plus in this matchup. So, Sora's abuses 6-frame characters like nobody's business, and again, especially 6-frame characters that have no big... It is only Voss. It's 6-frame characters that have no big 7-frame button or no big 6-frame button, which is Voss, right? He also has 5U. Yep, he's got 5U, just like Voss has 5U or U tackle, so you can do that too. You can kind of pressure Voss for like staggering his pressure too much. Again, Voss can... Sora's is a character Sora's bases his offense a lot around stagger pressure, right? Sora's has a lot of staggering, which is bad against Voss. But against Voss, he doesn't need to. He gets you blocking for literally ever. Sora's has like 5 different ways to be plus on Vaseraga. 214L, 214H, 22M, 236M, right? And 22H, right? And close L's and close H's, and like adding, it might not sound like a lot, right? But adding one more cooldown. If you think about Sora's looping his offense, right? He might go, oh, what the hell? Oh, Yoling broke for a sec. Sora's might normally go auto combo. If he's just going looping through cooldowns to get you blocking forever, right? He might go auto combo, H aura, auto combo, H rock smash, close L, and at that point he's out of easy plus frame situations. At which, but if you add that one extra cooldown of 214L into heavy DP, suddenly it's not like an infinite, but Sora's is a lot closer to just looping those cooldowns over and over. Why can't the same argument be used for Narm? Sheer Last Stagger Pressure 2, what's the difference? Oh, so you misunderstood me a little bit here, Mr. Enjoyer. So the Stagger Pressure part is bad against Voss, right? That's another reason that Narm is not good against Voss. Stagger Pressure is not very good against Voss, because depending on what you're staggering, because you have to be very careful to not leave a 5-frame gap in your offense, or you get U-tackled or 5-U'd, right? So Sora is using Stagger Pressure as a bad thing. However, against Voss, he doesn't really have to, because he has almost infinite plus frames in this matchup. Voss has H Stomp too? Yeah, exactly. So, but Sora's doesn't have to, because he just does, if Sora's can steal back one little turn, close L, which beats, there's no 5-frame gap there, and then he can go auto combo H rock smash, auto combo H aura, auto combo 214L, and then into DP, and then by that point the cooldown on H rock smash is already back up, basically, right? The point I'm trying to get across here is that Sora's pressure is uniquely suffocating for exactly Vaseraga. No other character has this problem where they have a 6-frame light that cannot punish Sora's 623H, his DP, right? Versuja can do it with her 4L. Ladiva can do it with her 4L. Who else has a 6-frame light? Matera can do it with her 4L. I think maybe Fairy can't either. Fairy might not be able to do this either, right? But Sora's is uniquely designed post-patch to torture small Fairy and Uno. Yeah, he's uniquely designed to torture characters with small 6-frame lights, essentially. Fairy and Uno are screwed, yeah, and so is Voss. So with all that being said, this matchup is actually terrible, and also Sora's does a lot of damage, right? So Voss's HP is not gonna help him. So this matchup feels fundamentally broken. It feels like an oversight. Beatrix riding free? Before they nerfed Beatrix and her 2-2H had way more pushback, Fairy just couldn't punish her 2-2H. And that felt like a bug. When they fixed that, it wasn't a nerf, it was like a bug fix. This feels like a bug, right? They need to reduce the pushback on Sora's 623H. this currently, as it stands, feels like a bug that Voss or like Fairy or Uno can't punish this thing. Doesn't feel like an intended game mechanic. Because it just makes his pressure so incredibly hard to stop, right? Alongside, again, Swords being a very well... He can deal with... He has ways to deal with Voss and armor. He has a lot of damage. He's got good buttons. He's got good anti-air. He's got good everything, right? But then on top of that, he has this. So... Luckily, no Swords I've played has any idea about this. Yeah, I mean, it's very... It's like, I thought this matchup was even, and then I discovered that, and I was like, oh, God. All right, Zoe. Zoe. Dragon can be difficult to deal with, right? Certainly. It can be hard. She can stop you armoring at her. And kind of stop you from armoring up a lot of the time too, right? Just throwing Dragon and like holding Vaseraga down a bit. It can make it difficult to find Soul Forge, and when you get Soul Forge, if she has some Dragon Gauge, she can stop you with laser or things like that quite easily. I think does the Fire Breath hit 3 times as well? I can't remember, but she has ways to break armor with Dragon quite easily. Funny enough, I found 6-6. Oh, it does? Okay, yeah. I found 6-6H to be a surprisingly scary option for Voss. Because you're not used to, as Voss, getting, like, your armor out-armored. Like, it's risky, but again, like, if you... Battalions is risky to do in this matchup because it gets murdered by 6-6H, right? But it's not that big of a deal, but it's something. It's another thing going in Zoe's favor. Laser beats Soul Forge. Dragon Breath beats Soul Forge. She has good buttons, okay buttons, right? And Spinning Slash, I found, personally, can be a little annoying for Voss, especially the light and medium Spinning Slashes, right? Medium in particular. So medium Spinning Slash in particular, right? Because, so medium Spinning Slash is quite quick. You can M-grab it, but it's a tough check. It's a tough check to M-grab that one. But you can do it. If you don't, though, medium Spinning Slash is even on block. Again, we come back to Vaseraga's 2L. If you're wondering why I put it as his second worst move, right? Voss 2L means that even on block situations, 6-3L is next to useless. Yeah, fair. So yeah, but the M Spinning Slash even on block, which means Voss is minus. Because if Zoe hits her far L, I think it leaves you at far distance, right? But if Zoe hits her far L and Voss hits his 2L, he gets crushed and counter hits and dies. So Spinning Slash I've found is a really tough thing to deal with. Very hard check on Voss. He has to M grab that or he dies, basically. You get crushed on 2L? Yeah, exactly. So he has very good ways to smother Voss, just like, not like Swords, but like in a similar capacity, right? She has lots of good ways to access plus frames, lots of like kind of spooky mix, and not mix, like, some like lightning, like this, lots of plus frame situations keep Voss blocking. He's not very good at getting out of that, right? He's got a good throw bait that beats his command grab, right? Having a good throw bait is good against Voss, who command grab, certainly. She can deal with both keeping Voss from getting armor and also dealing with him once he has that armor, right? But again, we get back to, she doesn't have great defense, right? If Voss can get in on her, he really can just, like, send her to hell. How does her corner pressure deal with Voss? It's not amazing. But, I mean, again, it's kind of like, she can just kind of sit there with Dragon on you from a spaced out distance, I think, and just, like, just hit you with, like, Fire Breath into Lightning, into, like, a 6XL every now and then, right? But Voss can't, like, I guess Voss can probably, like, if she's too greedy going in, he can definitely just like 5U her or something, right? But I think in the corner, she just kind of stands at that mid range where all of Voss's buttons, all of his buttons that do hit, right, are too big and slow to do anything, and she's kind of like pressure him essentially. She just stands there and dragons you, yeah, exactly, right? So she can't like stand right in his face, but she doesn't have to. Is basically the idea, right? So again, Zoe is, I think, very good at bullying Voss. I want to put her kind of like in the same idea with Matera, where like basically she does everything you want to do against Voss. However, if Voss gets in, she'll die. But I don't think it's as true as it is for Matera, right? Like, she still has much more functional ways to defend herself, I think, than Voss does. Because again, it's harder for Voss to get in the first place, and even when he does, she's not exactly as defenseless as Matera. She has 1,000 more health too, which does matter. I don't know. She's worse than Matera. I agree, yeah, but I'm wondering, is she a whole tier worse, right? Like, is Zoe down here? Maybe. I mean, like, maybe? It did certainly feel very bad when I fought a Zoe that, like, was actually trying to keep me out, right? Maybe. I'll do it, yeah, I'll do it for now, and we'll see. All right, Mrs. Leostro, Cag Leostro. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Far H hits 3 times. Yeah? We're good to go? I don't know. I gotta think about it a second, but just give me a second. Here's the thing, right? Again, similar idea. I don't think it's that easy for Kag to stop Voss from getting his Soul Forge in this matchup. Kag loses when she goes in, yeah, but I think Kag is very good at, like, Far H, again, I just want to say, like, you know, Far H hits 3 times, and then just put her in disadvantage and call it a day. But, again, Kag's zoning is not good enough to stop Vaseraga from getting Soul Forge. However, this is almost one of those, like, Lawayne-ish situations, it feels like to me, where Voss getting Soul Forge isn't that big of a deal for Cagliostro, it feels like. You don't really beat armor with her Far H. I mean, if he's just walking at you in stance, you would, wouldn't you? Hits are too slow? Are they? I mean, on battalions, probably not, right? But I feel like on stance, he can RPS, I guess, and, like, light follow-up really early or something, but I've definitely been poked out of my armor by this a lot. Raise it a kite him as Kag? Yeah, so, again, I feel like once Voss gets Soul Forge up, it's not that hard for Kag to stop him, right? So his win condition is not that big of a win condition. Let's talk about it again. You have to either, like, be good at keeping Voss from getting his Soul Forge or dealing with it quite well. And Kag, I think, has a couple of different ways to deal with armor. In you know, Far H or just, you know, general. I guess if she charges the rock up, that'll break armor. The other thing, of course, people are mentioning in the chat too. But yeah, she can just, like, so the one of the big problems with Voss's stance never really got solved is that he does just, like, he doesn't sideswipe, right? You can just kind of teleport around him sometimes. Of course, there's counterplay to that too when it's not instantly invincible, and if you're too close, he'll swat you, and sure. But Kag can just kind of keep away from Voss quite well, I think. However, I do think that this is actually quite sad. It's not that it didn't get solved, Brick. They straight removed it. Wait, his turnaround? He never had it. No, we're talking about in vanilla, maybe? In vanilla, did he turn around? Anyway, I'm talking about from Rising. Anyway, but with that being said, Kag can keep away from Voss quite. He used to turn around in vanilla or in Rising 1.0. Oh, okay, in vanilla, yeah, gotcha. Anyways, so he can keep away from him quite well. But again, I think because, like, traps are not gonna break armor and, like, she can't, like, spike through armor, Voss usually can find his way in eventually, in my experience, because, like, to actually, like, to fully, like, teleport behind him, you have to be, like, pretty far away, which is not always super easy to do. So this doesn't feel horrible to me, right? And again, Kag cannot defend herself from Voss very well. No Meterless DP, right? In general, I mean, she got 2L, I guess. Like, yeah, I want to put this. Her corner pressure is scary to Voss, sure. But at the same time, she has to set up to do that. She has to get, like, at least one knockdown first and set the traps up. So I want to put this in slight disadvantage. Maybe I'm insane, but I do think Voss, again, he can actually get it on her a little bit. If she ever pokes out with 2L and File, she can side switch. Yeah, true. Very fair. But again, I think she has good ways to fight Voss. But again, like, these guys don't let Vaseraga play the video game, basically, is the whole idea with this tier so far. So I don't think it's quite that bad. I'm just gonna put her in slight disadvantage. If you ask the Kag main, they'll say she loses. Yeah, I mean, if you ask the Kag mains, her matchup chart looks like all disadvantage, and, you know, then Kag is even or something, right? Kag loses to Kag somehow. All right, UL is weird, right? I've been told this matchup is not very good. I don't feel it. I don't feel this matchup being that bad. But if I think about it for a second, and kind of, like, judge it by the same framework I've been judging the other characters, right? UL has good defense. You got basically 2 reversals, especially against the, you know, the way Voss does it. I lose because I'm bad. Seems right. You lose because, you know, you're fighting people who are good. Slight disadvantage is not unwinnable, Shiro. I don't know if you, maybe you don't know what a matchup chart, like, what this means exactly, but, like, slight disadvantage does not mean that, you know, oh, you literally, if you ever lose, oh my god, it's gonna be, oh, like, you got gapped, you're so horrible, you're terrible. Slight disadvantage. Keyword on slight right there, good sir. But yeah, I get it. Cag players want to downplay the character or whatever, that's fine. You can do what you want. I'm not gonna police your thoughts. But anyway, UL. So UL has 2 reversals, I guess. So that seems bad, certainly. But I mean, I guess she got, like, good. She got kind of got, like, good neutral-ish. She got, like, a forward advancing, far M. She got, like, you know, close H can break armor. I don't know. UL, like, people keep telling me this matchup isn't that good. UL 236L is 3 hits, but she's -3, and that's scary against Voss. Yeah, like, is like this 5.5, 4.5, and disadvantage 6-4. I don't really give a fuck about the numbers. I feel like they're very arbitrary. Like, people, like, because again, with the numbers, people are like, it depends on what you mean by. People don't take into account, like, exactly even skill and stuff, right? But yeah, I don't know, right? I don't really care too much about the numbers. The idea here is basically like, you know, these characters do not let Voss essentially play the video game. These ones can deal with him quite well. This is, you know, it can go either way, and then you know, it goes the other way, right? Voss can deal with lanes pretty well, I think, and Narm doesn't get to play the video game against Voss, essentially, right? Not the exact numbers, but the scale of difference. It'd probably be more like a whole number, I'd say, right? Like if this is like 5.5, 4.5, this is more like 6.5, 3.5, if that's what you're talking about. These are significantly worse matchups than these, in my opinion, right? These are way worse than these, in my opinion. Anyways, but yeah, I feel like UL is still, like, even though she has real mix now, like someone said, her offense is not the scariest in the world, right? I don't know. My UL is like doesn't exist, right? But my vibe on this character is that it feels even. Am I crazy? Like, she can't stop him from getting Soul Forge too well. She can kind of deal with Soul Forge. She can kind of defend against him. She can kind of bully him in the corner, right? I don't know. I'm gonna say even. I think I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna say it's even. She like, again, yes, you're all for that. I don't know. Like, it. She can do. Yeah, she has an option in every situation, but so does Voss. I feel like maybe slightly in her favor. Sure, yeah, but UL doesn't exist, so like it kind of doesn't matter. Like when the few ULs that I fought, it didn't feel that bad. Maybe they didn't know. Will that be your Voss player hot take? You're entitled to one. Okay, sure. Used to be way worse. Her stance changes are much better. Used to be way worse. Her stance changes are much better for Voss. Really interesting. Anyways, let's go to Uno. Okay, Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Uno is a very well-rounded character. Vaseraga is not a very well-rounded character. This tends to be bad, right? This tends not to go too well. In the sense that Uno, I think, one, he has very good offense, which is something that people don't talk about enough with Uno. He's got maybe the world's best throw bait, essentially, right? In that little dive kick there. Very easy throw bait, plus on block, at least full combo on hits, etc., right? He also has decent mid-range. He's got projectile. He's got ways to break armor. He has his parry, yeah, against the stance options, right? Like, it feels like where, you know, when I said UL can do something, he can do something against everything Voss has. For Uno, it's much simpler. He just kind of like Voss, it's very hard for him to get stance, and once he has stance, it's very hard for him to use it effectively because, again, like, it can get broken by the zoning, or, you know, spiral spear. He's got a ton of plus frames, right? He's got parry for the stance options. He's got good defense in parry, right? This feels a lot like Zoe to me, essentially. First of all, Uno's a zoner. Well, the thing about Uno, though, is he's everything, right? Uno can zone, right? Uno can zone if he needs to, which he can against Voss. Uno can play rushdown, which is good against Voss. Uno can play mid-range, as good as Voss can. This feels like Zoe to me. It basically is the idea, right? Where Uno is just better than Voss at like every point of the video game, right? And he can defend against him well, better than Zoe can, honestly. Uno can defend against Voss better than Zoe can, to be real with you, right? So like Uno feels bad. Like he just again, this character doesn't exist. Uno's better than Zoe. Yeah, he's just a better character too, certainly. Yeah. So like he just does for all the reasons that Zoe is bad. Uno is just her but stronger. He's her but worse, essentially. So I'll stick with that. Very similar idea with Eustace, right? Eustace not quite as well-rounded as Uno, I think. A little bit more skewed towards this like full screen and, you know, rushdown. He can't play the mid-range quite as well, right? But for a lot of the same reasons, I think this could be tough. He's got worse defense, but okay, so Eustace is kind of worse Uno, I think. His defense is worse. His zoning is probably about as good. It probably still, like, you know, makes Voss's life quite difficult, right? And his pressure is... How does Eustace pressure sort of handle Voss? Yeah, I think his pressure is not going to be as good against Voss either, though, of course, U-Grenade is pretty insane, right? He doesn't have quite as easy access to plus frames. You can't bully him quite as well. Like, Eustace is kind of just worse Uno in this circumstance, I think, right? They're very similar characters in that they are very well-rounded. They can do a lot. But again, Eustace can't do mid-range as well. He can't pressure him as well. He can't defend as well. He can zone him maybe even better, honestly, especially post-patch. He can probably zone Voss even better than Uno can, to be real with you, but... I feel like this is for basically if Eustace is just worse Uno, so is Zoe. So I feel like for the same reasons, this is still pretty bad, right? It's still pretty bad here. Seox. Weird, right? Is this Seox guy not good anymore? I feel like he still is. But every time I think about a character fighting the Seox guy, I'm like, he seems pretty good. Seems pretty easy. I don't know. Like I feel like I don't know, man. Okay, hold on. Before I do anything crazy, let me think about it, okay? Seox obviously has good offense, right? He can bully Voss pretty easily. But, in fact, his comp potential is better. Eustace? Oh, Seox is still good? Yeah, I'm kind of being facetious when I say that he's better, or that he's not good anymore, right? But I'm just like, okay, so he does good damage, he's got good mid-screen, he's got good reward, right? He's got, obviously, very good pressure against Voss. But he can't really how many times does EX Gate of Demons hits? It hits twice, right? The fireball? Does it hit twice? I think so. He has the able problem. I think he doesn't have a good way to deal with stance either, though. Am I crazy? Am I missing something? I guess Rekka. I mean, that's at that point you're getting slowed down. Empty hand is one. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like he doesn't have a good way to deal with stance, right? So while he can just like kind of run in, it's 2 hits. Okay, got it. Yeah, I thought it was 3. I was wondering if it was 3. I knew. I had a feeling it was 2 though. Yeah. So like he can definitely like this is more. We're getting into like. Remember when we talked about Gran like an hour ago? You were like, Gran can just kind of like sit on Vasaraga's face and just like kind of like bully him to death offensively. Seox is a better version of that offensively, certainly, but he doesn't have a good way to deal with armor like EX Fireball with Gran, right? So he's better at smothering Voss, but he's worse at dealing with armored Voss. He also, this is very important, has 14,000 health. Against a character who does, like, you know, some of the highest damage in the entire game, especially in the corner. So, I think he feels Granathan-like to me, right? Again, his main win condition is just beating Voss to death, essentially. Which he's better at than Gran, but he's worse at everything else in this matchup than Gran is. Worse buttons, worse ways to deal with armor. Maybe not worse defense, but yeah. So, I'm just gonna say he doesn't like U-Tackle at all. Yeah. So I'm gonna say he goes vaguely and even. Right? I don't think it's that bad. All right, Vera. This matchup feels difficult in my head. My immediate vibe check tells me this is hard, but I gotta actually try and think through why I think that, right? So, I mean, Vera, they made her quicker, right? Vera she has pretty good buttons. Luminaire is not that scary. It can certainly break armor on Voss, but it's such a slow thing. Like Voss can just like swat you for doing it, right? I guess there is something here, right? I bring this up a lot. Again, thank you so much to L for being the worst button in the history of the fucking world. But there is a Vaseraga and Versuja specific interaction with Vera, right? Where 214H Scarlet Oath is plus on block for Vera, basically, right? It's a forward advancing plus on block move that is not a U skill because it's -1 on block. But guess what? -1 when you're point blank, which leaves you in close normal distance, right? If Vera's close L, her 5-frame close L, will crush Vasaraga's 6-frame 2L. Because again, 2Ls get crushed by everything that's in another 2L, right? Throw? Sure, yeah. Yeah, that works, that's fair. But again, you can't mash on it at least, right? She can just like, she can, and if she throw, yeah, you can Delmon's attack, I suppose. Yeah, but you can't mash on it, right? So there's something there at least. But you're right, you can't just throw. That's a good point. But it's still like there's like a very specific thing of just like, you know, that's like a thing that Vera has that only works on Voss and Versuja, basically, right? So it's more of a knowledge check than anything. If you mash, you're like, oh, she's -1, and you mash, you will die. But yeah. Only option to beat is backdash. Yeah, I mean, it centralizes options a little bit more out of it. Regardless, though, right? I mean, H Scarlet Oath is not that big of a deal for Vera anyway. Usually he's doing M because plus, right? Which it's much easier that way. But you know, there's something to consider that only works on Voss and Versuja. But I mean, besides that, good buttons, like decent neutral control with Luminera, I guess. He does a lot of damage once he's an install, right? But again, there's no. Even though in my brain, I think this matchup is like when I first looked at this, I'm like, this is difficult. I can't think of like a good theoretical reason for it. She's got good pressure. She's got good defense. I mean, she feels Gran and Gita like to me, right? The only difference is, again, she's more skewed towards, once she's an install, I feel like in install, this is much scarier, right? In install, this is like, you know, this is like slight disadvantage. Maybe even like, probably like slight disadvantage when against install Vera. Like, he's not going to be an install right away. I'm going to put her vaguely in even. Again, very similar to Gran and Gita, right? She has less ways to deal with armor than Gran and Gita normally, yeah, but she got better, you know, she could, like, you know, she can bully Voss with plus frames more, and again, in install, she's much scarier than both of them, essentially. So, comparable, kind of like Seox, comparable to Gran and Gita, I'm okay with even. Bubs feels really hard. Bubs feels really difficult. How difficult, though? So, Bubs feels hard to me for numerous reasons. Again, very good access to plus frames, which is not very, easy for Voss to deal with. He's got pretty good pressure. He's got a command grab super, which is something, just like another way to open Voss up. He's got decent defense. Those DP loses to stance. You can't DP Voss out of his armor, right? So that's something. He has kind of like okay, yeah. So Bubs does have to hold. So immediately, the reason he's not going into like full disadvantage probably is he has to hold a lot of RPS. I think if Voss gets in on him. However, like you Chaos Caliber, right? You Chaos Caliber breaks armor for free, essentially, right? Obviously, I guess the Guard Crush would beat it too, right? Needles is hard. It's hard for Voss to approach Bubs with the armor in this matchup. I think it's not that hard to get the Soul Forge up, but it's hard to approach once you're there. And again, Bubs can kind of bully you, right? So does you Black Flies. Yeah, true. So he can kind of bully you when it's his turn. He's got like kind of probably like overall better buttons than you, right? This feels. But again, when you get him in the corner, he kind of does just have to. He can also tele stance. Yeah, that's a good point. I was just gonna say this feels CAG to me, basically. Feels CAG, man. I think, right? Like a lot of the same reason that CAG feels kind of bad for Voss. I think Bubs is the exact same thing. It's just like probably he's gonna do a little bit better in the neutral, but his defense is a little better, I suppose, or a little better than CAG too. Like overall, feels CAG, man. I think. For the same reason that CAG is a little bit tough, I think Bubs is a little bit tough. It's not horrible, but Voss is gonna have to play around Bubs a little bit more than Bubs is gonna have to play around Voss in this matchup. Hey, it's Belial. I mean, okay, here's the problem, right? Again, we talked about, Uno is a very well-rounded character. Eustace is a very well-rounded character. Voss is not. When very well-rounded characters run into jagged characters, again, characters like this, whose JoJo stat hexagon looks like this, right? It tends to not go very well. So obviously, Belial he's got amazing pressure to bully Vaseraga over and over and over again. He's got good defense. He's got better neutral. He's got a better fireball. He's better than Voss at literally everything. And I mean, Voss gets a unique punish on the parry, on the stomp. He can guarantee throw punish it. But here's the other thing, right? Now, is post-patch, you Fireball, for some reason, gives Belial a full combo now. So if Belial ever has 50 meter, which is very easy to come by in this matchup, anytime Voss goes into stance, Belial gets guaranteed you Fireball, it takes the Soul Forge off of Vaseraga, and it gives him a combo, and it gives him Oki. So it's like, without the you Fireball buffs, this was like really good for Belial, I think. And now this, on top of everything, just gave him a win button in the matchup too. And if Voss blocks it, he's plus 38 while it's in his face. I mean, he can spot dodge it, of course, but to be in a position to do spot dodge, you have to not be in stance. So like Voss can't use stance when unless you're right in his face. If Voss stance uses the fireball, get run up and grabbed. Yeah, exactly. So like Voss has to not use stance in this matchup unless in a block string basically. So taking away literally his most important and best tool from him, while also having good defense and good pressure and good neutral and high damage and good conversions and good anti-airs and good everything, Belial is just this is a bit of a, not that Voss is a coughing baby. I think Voss is a strong character, but Belial this is just so much better than Vaseraga and has unique counters that uniquely fuck up Vaseraga. So this is just really, really bad. He's just better than Voss, right? He's just better than Vaseraga. There's not he's just outstatted here, essentially. Lotus completely shits on Voss. Yeah, you are just outstatted here, essentially. Okay, on to Abel. Almost everything that I said about Belial applies to Abel, by the way. Abel has very good ways to deal with armor. He's got good neutral. He's got high damage. He's got everything. He's got good defense. He doesn't have quite the win button that you Fireball is, right? However, he beat again. He is able. He is able, right? I will say, I wonder, Rex, yeah, you guys talk about right now that Abel's insane, right? I wonder if Abel played this match like a zoner, if he just full-on zoned. Also, hello, Drakey Envy, thanks for the follow. If he just full-on zoned, would he just win? Right? Would he just kill Voss every time if he just full-on zoned? Maybe, right? Because the problem is, as soon as Abel takes on any risk, he dies, right? None of us want to? Yeah. I feel like on paper, this actually, everything I said about Belial should apply for Abel. But then Abel's just a worse version of Belial. His his offense is a little bit worse. His defense is a little bit worse. He's got less health, but he's better at zoning, right? So if Abel's a worse Belial, Abel's running is too easy to adapt to? Sure, but yeah, I mean... Abel is a worse Belial in this matchup, right? However, Belial just absolutely... Belial undisputed #1. Belial is... He's... For, like, consistent tournament results, we'll see. I'll make a tier list at some point before Vikala comes out here, Zan. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly good. He's definitely in discussion for it, no doubt, right? We have 5 of you to shut down stance. Yeah. So, Abel does everything Belial does in this matchup, basically. A little bit worse in some places, a little bit better in some places, but he does just die a lot of the time. However, he doesn't have to take that much risk in this matchup. So, I think this is a better matchup than Belial, right? It's a better match. Sorry, it's better for Voss than Belial. But like, if Uno is just better Zoe, Belial's just better Abel in this matchup. This is still bad, I think. Yeah, it's still bad. Is anyone else noticing this is becoming like a gigantic Voss downplay session? I did not think, like, I did not plan to, again, my stance on Voss has been firmly, this character is strong now, but the more I make this matchup chart, the more I'm like, wait, what's going on here, right? Well, we'll get to, there's some good ones that we'll get to some good ones in a second, but I'm a little confused, I'm not gonna lie to you. Anyway, Anila. On paper, Voss should lose. Yeah, Anila's interesting, right? So, I lost my promo with this, but apparently, you know, Anila can't use sheep in this matchup at all because it just loses to U tackle. That's good to know. That's one of Anila's best, you know, U skills. So, that's interesting. Anila, her DP is not gonna beat Soulforge. It's a one-hit DP, right? She's got good button. He's got like sweep basically, but it's a little bit slow. Right? He's a little bit slow in general. Sheep can be very risky to do against armored Voss. He can like, you know, armor through it and kill you a little bit easily. Her offense is not that scary, but she gotta do the thing where like, you know, the thing that Jita can do, which just kind of spaces Voss out in the corner and just beats him up with like bigger buttons that are faster. But Anila is kind of just like, yeah, she doesn't have quite have the sauce, the power, I think. She has 8 sheep to bypass armor? True. Yeah. So you got an EX Fireball, kind of like Gran and Jita and, you know, and all these sorts of characters. But, like, yeah, I feel like Anila is just kind of like, she has to play the video game with Voss. Again, she's got no, like, you know, instant win button to kill Voss, like Belial's U Fireball or something. She doesn't, like, just, like, outplay Voss at every stage of the game, like Uno or something like that, right? She's got okay defense, she's got okay offense, she's got good neutral, she's got a decent way to stop armor, she doesn't have a good way to get it. Okay, so she has a decent way to stop armor. She doesn't have a good way to keep him from getting armor, right? So, again, in so many words, this feels even. It feels like it's not that bad, right? Like, Anila has to play the video game with Voss. She can play around with him, she can stop certain things, she can beat certain things, other things, but like, this feels like a skill matchup to me. Is there anything cheap against him? Yeah, it feels like a skill matchup, right? Like, it's just, you know, it's just purely, you know, they each have options to beat each other, and if you RPS properly and read properly and adapt properly, you'll win, right? I don't think there's anything too crazy to talk about here. Alright, Siegfried. Siegfried's H Fireball is not as good as it used to be. However, it is faster now, if anything. That might... Her hop is kind of annoying. That's fair, yeah. Siegfried Fireball is probably better against armor than it used to be now, because it's faster, right? So, it might, like, you know, knock you out earlier. But, overall, I mean... So, Sieg, right? Sieg has better buttons than Vaseraga, especially like for the speeds. He can do the same thing we talked about, like, you know, he gets Voss in the corner and just like spaces him out and just like out-buttons him. He does a lot of damage, obviously, so Voss's 18,000 health is a little bit less meaningful. He has... Sieg's offense has always been kind of only okay, right? It's always only been okay. Like, he's for a top tier anyway, right? Sieg has good offense, but he doesn't have like amazing offense. He has to have good buttons, basically, to carry his offense. He can, like, space you out and whiff punish very easily and things like that. But, like, he can bully Voss in the corner. He can beat him in the neutral pretty easily. He still can just, like, fireball at him from up close and, like, smother him. It's plus 12 now, right? You've got to, obviously, I mean, his super doesn't really matter that much, but it's always important to mention it with Sieg. He's got good defense. This feels like, basically, you know, this feels like a slightly, like, a better version of... When I say that Uno is just gonna, like, outplay Voss at, like... every stage of the video game. Yeah, his DP also will break armor. That's true. He's got a multi-hitting DP. Sieg feels like a slightly more honest version of that because he can't just like zone Voss out from full screen. He does have to like go in. He has to go in on Voss and like beat him in the neutral. But that situation is favored for Siegfried, right? He has to play the game with Voss, but he is better at playing that game than Voss is, if that makes sense, right? He's got better buttons, he's got better reward on hit, right? He doesn't have to set up first to be scary. He's got good offense, he can defend against Vaseraga's offense pretty well, so this feels slight disadvantage to me. Like, it's, again, he has to actually play the video game, like I said with Anila, but he's better at that at that little mid-range scuffle he's going to have with Voss than Voss is, right? And there's no, like, big hole. Siegfried, again, very well-rounded character. There's no big hole in his character that Voss can exploit, right? If he wants stacks, he does as much damage as you do. Yeah, and he hits very hard as well, yeah. Right, this feels advantage. Am I crazy? This felt like when Nier was undisputed top 1, when Nier was obviously the best character in the whole game, she still didn't have, like, the best ways to deal with armor, right? She didn't have, like, the best ways to deal with armor in the sense of, like, you know, her only real option, even, like, when she was really, really good, was 2-2U, right? That's still true, but then, yeah, but the problem was, like, she did so much damage and had such a good neutral and so much reward and 50-50 mix on the guy with the worst defense in the game at the time, right? Sure. Now, that is still true. Nier is actually quite bad at dealing with Soulforge. But she also isn't very good at stopping him from getting it. And, oh my god, can she not deal with his pressure at all? And her offense is a lot weaker now, because, like, if you throw tech her or brave counter her, she becomes bottom 1 for a little bit. And, like, yeah, I mean, this Nier isn't really good. I don't think so, yeah. But, so, remember when I said that, Belial is just better than Vaseraga? And on top of that, he has specific anti-Vaseraga stuff in his kit. Like, Belial just, like, outstats Voss. And then also, he has a special thing in U Fireball that just, like, win buttons the matchup. It's, like, the opposite here, where Voss is just, like, a better character than Nier, I think. And armor, like, counters her a lot, right? Nier is very much like a, you know, find one hit in the neutral and kill you, but if he's, like, walking at you in stance, what the fuck do you do, right? If he's battalionsing at you, what do you do, right? Nier has always been weak to command grab pressure as well. It's like one of her big, even back when she was number 1 with a bullet, she was still very weak to command grabs. Her, obviously, like, you know, she's got relatively bad defense, and her parry loses to command grabs, or even her U grab. And again, they do more damage on her. Like, yeah, everything Voss does works very well against Nier, and, like, nothing Nier does works well against Voss. Voss also here having 18,000 health actually matters. Nier is not gonna be able to, like, kill him quite as easily, and, like, Nier has to kill you or else resources become a problem, right? When she runs out of resources, bad things happen. This is probably, honestly, this feels like Voss's best matchup. This is better than Narm, I think, right? All right, Grimnir, so, okay, I don't know, honestly. I mean, okay, Grimnir is weird, right? Grimnir is odd because if he gets Voss in the corner, Voss literally can't do fucking anything. But, like, if Voss can get Soulforge, I feel like Grimnir has to be, like, a little bit scared to, like, do seal dashes at all, right? Because, like, 5U as an anti-air here works really well in this matchup, right? I feel slight advantage. Like, 5U as an anti-air works very well in this matchup. I guess, like, his whole shtick with the seals, right? But I don't know if that's, like, that important in the grand scheme of things. At the end of the day, Grimnir's win condition in Seals is probably better than Vasaraga's win condition in Soulforge, right? Just straight up. You can go over stance technically with the crest. Yeah. So, again, Grimnir's win condition in Seals is probably better than Soulforge. And he has ways to beat armor. Him playing the game always comes with risk, yeah. So I think, fundamentally, his win condition is better than Vasaraga's. And it's also easier for him to get it in this matchup. And if Voss tries to get his win condition by, like, backing up and, like, trying to find the space to get Soulforge, he basically gives Grim his win condition. And Grim has ways to deal with armor. Voss has ways to deal with seals, right? So, again, the mid-range doesn't seem that bad, right? Again, Voss can deal with seals. Grim can deal with armor. You know, they both get their win conditions up, and they can both deal with them. Where the difference becomes clear, though, I think... Yeah, I face some Grimnir H fireballs at round start and I lose. Yes, I mean, you can just, like, at that point, you can just get Soulforge up, but again, Seal's a little bit better there. So, like, in the neutral, I think it's, like, slight advantage Grim. His win condition is easier to get, right? And it's probably better. Where the real big problem comes up in my head is that while Grimnir, yes, has bad defense, it feels like if Voss gets in on Grim and puts him in the corner, it is bad for Grim. But it is, one, more difficult for Voss to do that, because Grim has better ways to stop armor than Voss has ways to stop seals. And two, if the opposite happens, if Grim gets Voss to the corner, it feels like it's just fucking over, right? It's just over. Like, what the fuck does Grim do, or does Voss do against Grimnir with seals in the corner? It's working on his ass and put him in 50-50s and stuff, right? So, this feels like just kind of a slight outstatting in all cases here on Grimnir's part, right? So, even though... Again, kind of like with Siegfried, they both get to play their game here. Also, yeah, you Bionic Arm will break armor, true, yeah. So, I mean, you can react with, I guess react to it is a little bit questionable. Before it breaks the armor, you can react and you follow up, maybe. But yeah, anyway, they both get to play their game as they like here. But I think that situation benefits Grimnir. It's not, you're not stopping Voss from playing his game, right? But if you both play your game, Grimnir's gonna come out on top like 6 times out of 10 or something, I think. Lucilius. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Lucilius is interesting because, again, this is one of those cases where Lucilius' win condition is much better than Vasaraga's. Because blade level, yeah, Lucy C. Belial, yes, exactly, right? Like, but it's a little bit different. It's a little different, I think. Lucy's offense is not going to be as oppressive as Belial, right? His defense is worse than Belial. His mid-range is better, probably, right? So he's still really good at, like, getting on top of us and, like, killing him. But the thing that makes this one bad in my mind is more so that, again, this is one of those cases kind of like Lowain, where if Voss wants to stand back and try and, like, Soul Forge and find a spot, he's going to have a hard time to do so because Lucy will benefit from that situation more. And also, through that benefit, through, like, you know, just throwing out fireballs or specials or whatever, Lucy has a pretty good way to deal with Vasaraga's armor. Namely, mostly Iblis, right? It's not like he doesn't do, like, that much besides that. But if Lucy saves his Iblis cooldowns for Voss being in stance, and then otherwise kind of plays that mid-range game, I feel like it's going to be quite tough for Voss. I will say, though, Lucy cannot defend against Voss that well, and his pressure is not going to be that scary for Voss. But yeah, the big thing is it's gonna be pretty difficult for Voss to stop Lucilius from getting Blade level 5, right? With that in mind, though, you said C. Belial. I don't think this is as bad as that, right? I think Belial is not quite as, like, Lucy's not gonna just not gonna beat you in every stage of the game quite as much as Belial will. This feels like the worst, maybe, of the slight disadvantages, right? There are ways in to the game here for Vaseraga. Again, right? Lucy can his best way to deal with armor is Iblis, which has long cooldowns. He does have bad defense. He's not going to kill you that hard in the corner. It's mostly the mid range and the threat of Blade level 5, which are big deals. They're big deals, right? But it's not quite as, like, desperate as, like, something like, you know, like all these down here, in my opinion. 2B's bad. So here's why 2B is bad. 2B is bad because one of Vasaraga's big strengths is that, you know, he's got big buttons. Voss has big buttons, and Voss can hold the space quite well. 2B has, like, bigger, faster buttons, I feel like. If you post this list anywhere people are going to kill you in Minecraft, it's going on YouTube, baby. But yeah, 2B has bigger, faster buttons than Vaseraga. He's got, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the problem, right? So the problem with 2B is that essentially, oh, that almost fell out of my chair. Holy shit. The problem with 2B is that the way the character's kind of designed is that you're supposed to kind of, like, she just kind of wins neutral for free, but her offense, she can, like, run out of offense. It's like, you know, she wins neutral, you just have to kind of survive her, and then, you know, find your way back, and her defense is quite bad, and, you know, she, you know, things like that. She doesn't do that much damage. The problem, though, is multiple-fold. One, Vaseraga finding his way back on defense, haha, funny joke, second worst defense in the game. So 2B getting basically a free offensive turn on Voss in most round starts is going to be bad for him. He's not going to be able to defend himself very well, right? He has a lot of health, so her damage is going to be like it. That's a notch for Voss here. 2B is already kind of a low damage character. Having 18,000 health is going to exacerbate that, certainly. Going to use a lot of skill gauge and, like, run out of pressure. But yeah, she has a good way to stop armor as well in the Pog. Very true. She's got pretty bad defense, 6 frame lights, pretty cheap, like, pretty expensive reversal, no meterless reversal. Basically, yeah, double jump's also a big thing for the neutral as well. Yeah. So the big thing here is that 2B really beats the shit out of Voss in the neutral in this matchup, and that makes it very difficult for a guy who can't really defend himself that well, right? It's not horrible. It's not horrible, right? But this feels like there's more that 2B can do to kill Voss than otherwise. I want to put this as, like, I'll put this like high up here. I think it's not nearly as bad as some other ones, but, like, it's bad. Hey, look, it's time for a new tier. I forgot we were gonna get to this guy here. Let me just do this real quick. Oh wait, no, I want to add a row below. Let me just do this real quick, if you don't mind me. I forgot. This is not Vayne. This is Disadvantage. This is Vayne. Let's do this real quick. Let's make it black. like my heart when I have to play this matchup. If you can't see Vayne, don't worry. It says Vayne. Don't worry about it. Yeah, this is the worst matchup that I've ever played in the video game. So we've been talking a lot, right, about how matchups work with Voss in general, right? Where like if you have a good way to beat armor, or to stop him from getting armor, or to pressure him, or things like this, that'll be pretty good, right? If you can do all of those things, like, you know, Belial can both stop Voss from getting armor, and he can stop Voss from using armor, and he can, you know, pressure him well and things like this. What if you could do all of those things with a single input? Hero's Shield. Shake my hand. This makes me understand why Vayne is so undertuned and why Shield is as bad as it is. Put another tier in the gap. I'm down. I'm down. Brick breathing life into the next generation of Vayne mains. Yeah. Hero's Shield. Add a row below. Let's call this one. Let's call this one 500 feet of shit. There you go. And then the Vayne matchup all the way down here. There you go. You know what? We have to reorient this. You're orange. You're light orange. There you go. All right. So yeah, like this matchup is just it's real tough, man. Like Shield by itself basically does, like, it just kills everything Boss can do. Oh, but you can just armor up and walk through Shield. Wild beats. Shake my hand. Right. Oh, but you know, it's like, so Voss gets nothing from getting armor. Getting armor in the first place is quite difficult because of the energy destructions and stuff like that, but you can, sure. But it's like when you get it, you do literally nothing. Vayne does a lot of damage when he hits you. Shield pressure in the corner, especially like with you shield and stuff, also just like sends Voss to hell. Vayne has quite a good throw bait with 214M, which is not that big of a deal, but it's very good against Voss's command grab in particular, which is such a slow thing. If you get baited by that, you go to hell. I know for how like dramatic I'm being about this, I wish I had like a more detailed explanation of why. But like, for real, Hero's Shield, Wild Beat. Anyway, Beatrix. All right. It also this feels like if these are like 6.5, 3.5, this is like 8-2 for real. Like, I don't know how you beat someone who's like even close to as good as you on Vaseraga if they're playing Vayne. Beatrix. Riding free breaks armor. That's one thing. 2-2H will break armor. She has a command grab. She's got good pressure. She's got good damage. She's got decent buttons. Got good buttons, probably. Decent mid-screen reward. She's fast as fuck. Immense amounts of gap. Yeah. I suppose that's the only way to beat Vayne, certainly. She's got decent defense. Beatrix is quite well-rounded. She's got a fireball, right? EX fireball. Try to make you feel bad for losing to Fuse and JF. Well, I mean, that's why it's immense amounts of gap. You just have to be really, really, really fucking good. So, again, B feels like... This feels Siegfried-like to me, in the sense that, like... B just, like, kind of can... She's like, a little bit better at playing the video game. Like, she plays the game with Voss. There's no, like, you know, full-on stop sign, right? Yeah, you're right, yeah. The steppers could beat riding free, yep. So, yeah, there's no, like, full-on stop sign here where you can't play the video game. There's definitely no Hero's Shields, Wild Beat, and there's no, you know, there's no U fireballs, nothing like that, right? So, like, Voss, again, plays the video game here, but a lot of her tools beat a lot of his tools more often than not, right? Again, having a command grab is pretty decent for her, too. She's faster, she's got better buttons, she's got better defense, she's got better offense. He does more damage. Armor definitely can put her in scary RPS situations, no doubts. It's overall, there's just more things in Beatrix's favor than in Vaseraga's here, I think. There's nothing, like, special. There's no, like, special character interaction that really fucks him here. It really is just that, you know, Beatrix is just a little bit better than Voss in most aspects of the game. Yeah. Sure. And then Versuja. This feels like, maybe I'm tripping. This feels incredibly even to me, in the sense of, like, this is the same character fighting, like, this, I almost want to put this, like, here. You know what I mean? Like, Versuja is just Vaseraga again, with, like, a little bit more of a projectile focus and a little bit less of an armor focus. You know what I mean? But, like, Versuja and Voss are, like, the same character. Woman Voss, bottom text. Right? So, like, maybe I'm crazy? I fought, like, Versuja is the character I fought second most. Belial is the one I fought the most. But like, yeah, this feels like this feels like the most even that I've ever seen, right? Like, Versucha has good answers for armor, Voss, but at the same time, all of her moves lose to armor, so he has to be careful to use the save cooldowns or use the right. I mean, her only answer to armor really is you pillar, right? But again, that's a big deal. She's got good ways to stop him from getting armor in like the pillars. But again, those can be, you know, if you use H pillar, then suddenly you're out of a cooldown. Now Voss can approach you. They have the bottom 1 and bottom 2 defense in the game, and they both have very strong offense. So whoever can actually win the neutral and get the other person to the corner is gonna kill them, right? It really is just like, it's very much just like, you know, the neutral is quite contested in this matchup and quite even, I think. Maybe slight advantage Versucha. Maybe slight, like, she might be a little bit better at the neutral than Voss is here. But again, like, once Voss gets Soulforge up, her like, suddenly the neutral is heavily in his favor with the armor, right? Unless she has U pillar, but then again, it's a whole thing. You can use stance it, and you might get run up and grabbed. And it's very back and forth, right? This feels like the most skill matchup of skill matchups, right? You have very good tools to fight each other. You just gotta use them well and not like use them in the wrong same height, same character. Yeah, exactly, right? This is just Voss fighting himself. So this is the most even of the evens. I want to put this like I wish we had like 8 things in even. You know what? I want to put someone in even so you can like perfectly in the middle, but I can't think of any of these guys putting going even, honestly. But yeah, very, very even matchup, I think, with Versucha. And yeah, that's that, I think. But Lance, I still think Lance is a little good, and also he's all alone inside advantage. Yeah, so this is, I'll be honest, I did not plan out this list, right? I just kind of like thought about it, and some of these characters I fought a lot on the road to Master, so like I know. This is obviously not like, you know, I'm barely a Master Boss. I just got him to Master, so of course Master only loses to 3 characters. No, you got it backwards, Musketeer. He only beats 3 characters. Only 3 characters lose to him. Advantage here is 4 Voss. Well, this tier list is a very, very, like, now that I'm looking, this is a very negative take on Voss, huh? Like, this is, I didn't expect it to be this way. But again, I mean, the more I thought about it, the more I'm just like, yeah, I mean, a lot of these characters, this is kind of the problem with being as jagged as Voss is, right? This is positive? Voss isn't that good of a character? Yeah, so, I mean, so I was wondering how good I thought Voss was after the patch. And I thought he was like, you know, relatively mid, right? Like, again, when Voss first came out, and he was doing like 12k damage in the corner, people were like, Voss top 5? But you know, Voss's weaknesses, if anything, got worse with the patch. I knew he was going to be inconsistent. He was never going to be able to make it to that top tier, that echelon, right? But like, man, do I really think he loses this many matchups? This is not a mid-tier character, by the way. Like, this is not what the matchup spread of a mid-tier looks like, right? His matchups are bad, but he has a lot of ways to express the player's strength diff, I guess, yeah. Watch the call goes with Vayne into beating living shit out of the Voss tier? Probably. Like, this is not the matchup spread of a mid-tier, right? Is Voss still bad? I mean, at its heart, again, he, like, having, like, almost the worst defense in the entire game is pretty rough. I hard disagree with Sora's does nothing versus Vaseraga. I would agree with you until they made his DP 5 frames, Lodius. Right? Again, Sora has a lot of like ways to be -1, and the DP being 5 frames, and again, Voss having his only 6 frame being 2L, which doesn't punish DP if spaced, it's very hard for Voss to stop Sora's pressure, I think. It feels really tough. On paper, there's a lot of his matchups. Thankfully, fighting games aren't played on paper. Yeah, but I mean, again, when we say fighting games aren't played on paper, what we mean is, again, matchup chart assumes he has armor 24/7. And I will agree with you that, like, Sora's, you know, if he staggers too much, he will get murdered by 5U, but, like, what, I mean, when is Voss even getting the chance to breathe and go into stance, right? To, like, abuse this armor on swords. Why isn't Swords just like round start light dash punch? What does Voss do exactly? Like, yes, you're right. If Voss has armor and he is walking at Swords in stance, it's kind of hard for Swords. But like, at what point? And he touches instant armor buff? Okay, yeah, sure. But at what point does he get to fucking use it? Basically, right? Right. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's actually, you know. Yeah, Swords does also have 5U, yeah, which can be pretty good against a lot of the stance follow-ups, certainly. I don't know. I respect your opinion, Elodius, but I just don't see it. Like, Voss can... He has decent pressure versus Soares, certainly. Though again, Soares has good... Like, Soares is like the Abare god now with that DP, and he always had that he has a, you know, good defense in general, outside of the DP, right? But like, you know, everything else feels like it's massively in Soares' advantage, and like, if Voss can pressure Soares, you know, Soares can... He just turns Voss to a fine pace in the corner. Why is Percy here? Honestly, now that I put... Like, Percy was one of the first guys who went down there. Percy is basically here for, like, the Belial reason, but if I want to order these, by the way, it's like... it's probably, like, something like... this-ish? Yeah. Percy gone to the Zoe area? Yeah. Because the reason that Percy was here in the first place... Yeah, probably he doesn't do it as good as Eustace does yet. Oh, and Abel... we'll keep him here, because Abel can just, like, he'll still die sometimes. But, Percy is here basically for, like, Belial Light, essentially, in the sense that, like, you know, he's got better neutral or better buttons than Vaseraga. He's got decent ways to pressure him with you, Flame Cropper and stuff. He's got okay defense. He's got, in general, like, he's got good ways to do with armor-ish, right? He can kind of bully Vaseraga out of getting armor in the first place, but he's not quite as bad as these guys, honestly. Make a match card for when Voss has 50% meter. That doesn't really change that much, man. Again, Voss's 50% meter reversals are, only okay. I mean, you tackle's good. You grab is like what the worst, like the second worst reversal in the game. I think Voss's the thing that makes Voss's defense scary is not you tackle. It's having armor and doing like 2-2H or like 5U or something, right? Like, you tackle's not a reversal, guys. Hey, Merp, yo, what the hell? Merp with the huge rate. What's going on, man? Long time no talk. Have a good rest of your stream. Yeah, thanks, man. Might be a good one as well. Hello, Merp Raiders. You caught us at the end of making a matchup tier list for Vaseraga here. I was trying to get Voss to master recently, and I recently did do that. And this ended up being a lot more negative than I thought it was gonna be. But, so, he tackles a whip punish combo starter? Yeah. When I went into this, I was like, yeah, you know, it's gonna be okay. But like, I ended up like having almost every character in the game be like either slight disadvantage or big disadvantage for Voss, and I was not ready for this, man. I guess he's like, you know, yeah. I mean, I guess turns out that Soul Forge, while good, is definitely there's a lot of characters that have a lot of answers to it, right? Or again, just having like, you know, some of the worst defense in the whole game is not a good thing. Voss dooming session? It was not planned, right? It's like every time I talked about a character, I was like, well. He got Voss to Masters. GG get gapped. I mean, again, this is kind of like Voss does kind of have like just the big body factor though, right? Should I rewind? Do you feel like a quick recap on Uno? Uno is basically like it's the same idea, Razzle, where like Uno can zone Voss out for real, right? Uno has really good offense. Uno, by the way, is a very good, like Uno's really, really good, right? Uno is here again, almost as like Belial Light, right? Uno is incredibly well-rounded. Really good projectile, very good zoning, infinite plus frames, good throw baits, good defense, just everything. Like, Uno this beats Vaseraga at every stage of the game, basically. So, people don't play the matchup and just play the game? Yeah. I'll say matchup with UL is a bit disadvantage. I was called crazy putting her in even, yeah, but it didn't feel that bad when I tried. I don't know, it didn't feel that bad when I tried it, because multi-hits? Yeah. This was the one that Dusk told me I was crazy for, but I don't know. I'm gonna stick to it for now. But it might definitely be disadvantage. I want to stick to it too, because again, look at this, man. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like strong disadvantage characters for Voss. Vayne, which is again just the worst matchup in the game that I've played so far. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 22, man. There's like 22 bad matchups for Voss out of like 30. I can't do if I put UL in slight disadvantage, they're gonna come for me, bro. They gotta beat my ass in the quote retweets. You should play Fairy versus Vayne. It's the worst. I can imagine. But yeah. I guess Voss is a lot worse than I thought he was. Eh? Who would have thought? To be fair, again, well, I was saying this earlier, but before the Raiders came in. But like when the patch dropped, right? Match feels in their advantage, not even, bro. But I have to put something in even. Like I brought at this point, if there's like any kind of plausible deniability for even, I gotta do it, man. I gotta do it. Voss is getting his fucking ass beat in these quote retweets, man. It's insane. But yeah, so I was saying it earlier, when the patch first dropped, people were just like, oh my god, Voss top 5 now, right? Voss broken, Voss so strong. And like, I knew he wasn't gonna be that good, but this matchup chart is like kind of like, you know, I ever sat down and thought about it, but like, this guy loses to a lot of the cast, huh? a lot of characters and they're not advantageous versus. Yeah, so I mean, I am not. Why is Vayne in his own tier? Heroes Shield, Wild Beat. That makes sense? Vayne stops Vasaraga's entire character with 2 moves. That's it. Those 2 things in combination mean Vas can't do literally anything, unfortunately. Yes? Okay, gotcha. Alright, cool. Yeah, I mean, again, obviously, this is not just, it's not just a grain of salt, like, it's not just my opinion. It's also my, essentially, S++ opinion, right? I am not a high-level Vaseraga by any means. I barely got to Master, then stopped playing, right? So, like, there's a lot of characters that, you know, if I made a Master chart for Ladiva, when I first got her to Master, it would look very different than what I would make today, right? So, I'm not claiming this is, you know, gospel or anything, but, like, some of these definitely do feel like I could see them, you know, I have a hard time being swayed off some of these not being really bad for Vas. Yeah, overall, it's basically like how well can you do with armor, or how well can you stop them from getting it, and it turns out a lot of the casts can do that pretty decently well, right? Mild heats, yeah. Stripping heat. Yeah. I think I'm good with this, though. I think I'm good with this. I think I'm relatively okay with this tier list. Alright, yeah, so that is gonna do it. If Vas has armor, I can't do auto combo 2 because 4 frame gap, it needs to be at least 5. 4 should do it. 4 will beat him out of his armor. So you can do it. It's 5 or more is where the gaps get bad. But yeah, so that is going to do it for the tier list. I hope you had a good time with it. For the VOD watchers, let me send them real quick. Hi, VOD watchers. Hope you had a good time. And if you did, any kind of like, subscribes, comments, bells. They'll help a lot, obviously. Also, I do stream every day from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, except for Fridays on both Twitch and YouTube, so be sure to come by and hang out. If you don't want to, I recorded this like 2 weeks before you're watching it, so if you want to see it actually, you know, on time, you can come by and hang out with the stream. I also have a Discord if you want to join that, a good place to hang out, make some friends, all that good stuff. Having a lot of fun with Granblue and all that. Oh, well, real quick. If you join Discord, I recommend you do so. It's a nice place. But be nice, or I'll shoot you in the head in Minecraft. ! Discord in the stream, too, if you're not in there. But yeah, most importantly, hope you had a great time hanging out today, as always. I know I sure did again. Boy, this turned out a lot more negative than I thought it would be. But, I mean, again, Vas does have that big body factor of, like, sometimes he's just gonna kill you in his bad matchups anyway, though, right? So as far as, like, consistency's sake, he is just gonna win, even though he shouldn't sometimes, so maybe it's not as bad as it looks. But yeah. We'll do a couple more Vas vids here at some point, probably like a beginner's guide, and maybe like a podcast roundtable, some better Vases as well, to learn. Maybe we'll get their opinions on this as well. It could be fun. But for now, have a lot of fun with the big boy. Gonna be a lot more coming your way. Until then, I will see you in the next one. Peace.